Jock Stein's death in Cardiff last night is still something I find very difficult to absorb. I think in common with many people who knew Jock Stein, and even those who didn't but felt they did, I really don't want to believe it. Perhaps in an initial sense it's something to do with the mixture of carnival and tragedy which we all experienced together. For after all, as the final whistle blew, the reality was that Scotland had achieved exactly what their manager had planned for. The reality was that the superb Scottish support had done justice to themselves, not just by adding a vocal dimension to the occasion that lent apparently new sinews to the players, but in behaving throughout their entire stay in the city in the way the manager wanted them to behave. The reality was that it was time to relax and throw off the almost overpowering tension which even the most innocent bystander would have felt. Thus, there were many barriers which had to be penetrated in the mind before the other reality of his death seeped in. And frankly, it hasn't quite got there yet. Never in all my experience have I witnessed the eeriness of the sight of men who ought to have been carried away by elation, so slumped and silent. Cardiff indeed became a very muted city, and we all started the painful process of waking up to the fact that this gigantic personality was no more. Even so, the memories of the man came flooding forward from all the people whom he had greatly influenced. As we'll hopefully show tonight, he was no mere figure to be registered on simply the footballing scale, but a human being of such strength and complexity that the task we face in doing so is an immense one and perhaps beyond our immediate capabilities, but we'll certainly try. You know, he really didn't like saying too much about himself. He felt that many of the factors in life which made him what he was simply nobody's business but his own and his family's. It wasn't so much secrecy as some kind of courtesy to the past, but when you did manage to get him onto the subject, he always sounded utterly convincing, and his origins he dearly cherished.
Well, it always has been a part of my life. My father before me was always connected with football. He was a committee member of Blantyre Victoria at that particular time, and I was always taken to there when I was any size. Played a bit at school and amateur football when I left school, but and I went part-time play with Albion Rovers. It was only a way of extra money, and I was in the pits at the time, and the extra money was welcome, but it really mattered once I became a full-time player. For the first time when I went down to Wales, to Llanelli, that was the first time I was ever a full-time player. So that was the only time it really meant anything to me.
And deep down, although he had the greatest misgivings about his own ability as a player, he harboured the ambition to make something out of the game, more than just non-league football in Wales. But also the feeling was there that perhaps, too, he might well have missed the boat. But he hadn't. There came then a decision, taken many miles away, that was to change his life entirely. In the course of football in events throughout Scotland, Celtic signed him, much to his own astonishment, apart from anybody else's.
Got into the team quickly and played not too badly. I had a lot of good players round about me at that time, Bobby Evans and Bertie Peacock and present staff, Neil Mochan, Sean Fallon, Willie Fernie, all playing at that particular time, John Higgins, all in the staff at the moment. But we had a wee run and we won the double. We won the league and the cup in 1953 and 4. We won the Coronation Cup. At one time we were a pretty good side, but we didn't stay together too long.
I remember you playing then, Jock. I remember you as a big, strong, strapping, hard player. Is that how you recall your own days?
I was fairly good in the air, nothing more. I was good in the air, and at that time Celtic needed someone there. I had good players round about me. I wasn't a bad positional player, but I wasn't exceptional as a player, no. Just ordinary, very ordinary.
Now, although Jock might not really have fancied himself as a player, he achieved more than many of his contemporaries. But it was when he finished playing that his stature grew. Successful coach that he was beginning to exhibit the signs of restlessness that characterized him ever after. He, quite simply, was on the lookout for a job.
Well, the Dunfermline job came up, and the chance for me to go then came. I thought that then Sir Robert Kelly thought that I had gone as far as I would expect to go with a club like Celtic. I was a non-Catholic, and maybe they felt that maybe I wouldn't achieve the job as manager, but I moved out to try and prove that I could be a manager. Like everyone else, everyone thinks they'll do it, but we're all egotistical enough to think we can do that kind of job better than someone else. I didn't think that I could do it better than anyone else, but I felt I wanted to try, and I did try it in Dunfermline.
Thompson to Peebles. And it's goal! And it's centre forward Thompson, who's made the score. Dunfermline 1, Celtic 0 to Peebles. Dixon. And he scores! And he scored! Dixon has scored! And that makes it, with only a minute or so to go, Dunfermline 2, Celtic 0. I've never seen such a bunch of sandboys. And that's Jock Stein coming in.
Marvellous achievement. Well, we have Bertie Peacock, who was a great friend and colleagues of Jock Stein when he was with the Celtic in our Belfast studio. Now, I think we've had bother with our sound, but I hope you're hearing me now. Bertie, can you in fact hear me?
Hello, Archie. Yes,
hello.
I can hear you.
Hello, good evening to you, Bertie. Thank you very much indeed for coming in. Can you recall when you first met Jock Stein?
Yes. I think it was 1952-53 season. We've been having a bit of a lean time, and there's an old scout at our ground called Jimmy Gribben, and he felt there was a centre half down in Llanelli that might do our team a bit of good. And actually, I think what they meant to do was put Jock in the second team and have him bring on the young players. But when he arrived at Celtic Park, some of our centre halves, we had 2 or 3 at that particular time, were injured, and Jock went into the first team, and subsequently he stayed there.
I mean, he was very modest about himself. I mean, I don't know whether you heard the earlier part of the programme when he said all he was good at was in the air. Was he too modest?
Well, I think he was a modest man. He was always keen to better himself, as it proved in latter years. During his playing career, mobility, he wasn't strong on mobility, but he was very good in the air. He was a very good positional player, and he was a very good leader, and I think that's enough to him.
Well, you mentioned the word leader. Was he a popular man in that sense amongst the players?
He was, yes. I've heard some remarks to the contrary, but Jock was a leader. He liked to win, and at that particular time he had 1 or 2 fellas about him who liked to win too, and we saw it the same way. Mind you, we didn't always agree, but sure, you don't always agree in football. That's what it's about, Archie.
But did you respect him, though? What he had to say about the game?
He was very knowledgeable about the game. I'm not surprised, and not in the least surprised, at the success he has had during his career as manager with Celtic, pardon me, with Celtic and with Scotland. He was a very knowledgeable man. He thought about the game. He ate and slept football.
So there were early signs that he would go on to another kind of career, say as a manager?
There's no doubt about that, Archie. He had that, I think, at the back of his mind. He always wanted to be a manager. He always wanted to be associated with football, and he wanted to be his own boss.
Well, you know, when we look back on his playing career, it was not perhaps the most renowned, but he did say that Celtic had a very good team, and it seemed to coincide with his coming to Celtic Park, didn't it?
It did indeed. As I said previously, he came in 52, 53. He was brought mainly to sort of bring on young players. He arrived in the first, at Celtic Park. He was put into the first team. He was selected for the first team. He played, and mind you, at that particular time, we had quite a good run when Jock was there as leader. We won the Coronation Cup, which was 4 top teams from England and 4 of the top teams from Scotland. We went on from there, and we won the league and the cup double. So, I mean, it's not bad for starters, Archie.
And I mean, at that time, Rangers were the kind of establishment in Scottish football, although you did have success. And in a sense, he began to change that, didn't he?
I think it started actually when Jock arrived. We were playing not too badly, but I think he was the icing on the cake. And when they say he wasn't a good player, I think they're taking a bit away from him. He was a very knowledgeable player, if you know what I mean. He could read the game, he could talk about the game, He loved to talk about the game during and after the game, and in fact, as I've already said, he ate and slept football.
Bertie, thank you very much indeed. Well, imagine the audacity of a provincial team like Dunfermline coming all the way to Hampden and beating Celtic, no less. That sort of thing just wasn't done. People began to pay attention, including Celtic, who at that time were as becalmed in Scottish football as a painted ship upon a painted ocean, and clearly felt that it was time to have the breath of life throughout the club. Breath, it was far more like the proverbial gale.
I was possibly more fortunate than anyone else. I came here when Celtic were in the semi-final of the Cup. We were meeting Motherwell in the semi-final. The team had been in quite a number of finals and semi-finals before that. They never had got the breakthrough of winning something. That year we won the Cup. We beat Motherwell after a replay, and then we beat Dunfermline in the final. From that moment, I mean, we've got a picture in there in the office of that particular team winning the Cup. We've had greater moments since that. But I think that was a key moment when we won the Cup that day. On that particular occasion, it broke a barrier for lots of players.
Inside forward Lennox with McLean out of position for once. And Lennox showing a turn of speed they didn't expect. Corner for Celtic. There he goes. It's a good win. It's a goal! A goal by McNeil. Billy McNeil has scored. With 9 minutes to go. Well, that's a captain's job. And he's made the score. Celtic 3, Dunfermline 2.
Billy McNeil in Manchester, you remember that day very clearly indeed, but do you remember the kind of dimension of impact that Jock Stein made coming to the club as manager?
Undoubtedly, Archie. I was very fortunate in actual fact because my introduction to Jock was as a young, a schoolboy, not a young schoolboy in the present day terms, but Jock was instrumental in bringing me along to Celtic Park because at that time there were several young schoolboys centre-halves going about, and I think I was about third in line. And Jock saw me playing against English schools at Celtic Park and made it very clear to the chairman then, Sir Robert Kelly, that he thought Celtic should sign me, and he was very instrumental in that. And obviously I've had that long relationship with him.
There are all sorts of myths and legends have grown up about Jock Stein, as you know only too well. But as a manager, was he the kind of strict disciplinarian, or was he the humanitarian? Where was it in the dimension?
Well, you know, he had his moments, Archie. I mean, and certainly the team that he had, the good team that he had, we gave him plenty of opportunity to be strict, to be quite frank with you. But he was a sympathetic man. I think his background was something that stood him in great stead. He never lost sight of the fact that he was working class, and always appreciated the break he'd got coming back to Celtic. That gave him the springboard to get back into the big time, as it were.
Well, was he good to players in terms of that, you know, financially speaking?
Well, the game wasn't about financial things in those days. The game was about playing for the enjoyment of the game and for the love of the game, and that was his whole theory, that, you know, go and play football, enjoy your football life, and I think he made everything that way. I remember him coming back as manager. Indeed, I've never really admitted this before, but that would have been my last season, I'm quite sure, with Celtic, had he not come back. And he came back, and it was like a breath of fresh air. It was revolutionary.
Well, in what way was he revolutionary, Billy?
Well, all of a sudden, players became important. Guidance, he had good players when he came back. There's no doubt about that. But without his guidance, there would never have been anything collectively as a unit, as a team. And he built them into something. He built them into a very worthwhile team. But always, it was a simple situation. He never tried to preach difficult things. It was all straightforward things. It was always to remember the people in the terrace were important, because you had to give them something in return. You had to give a bit of flair, a bit of excitement, a bit of endeavour. And to me, his whole theory was simple, straightforward, and always to give some benefit to the people that came in through the terraces.
Billy, we'll be coming back to you later in the programme. People were slow, though, to see Celtic as a really credible force, not just in Scotland, but in Europe. Many in the South thought the element of fluke was stronger than any other factor, but that wasn't universally believed, especially not by the gentleman from Merseyside, who packed his bags and set out for Portugal, not with a rosette, but with a notebook.
I was the only manager of an English club that was there. none of them took the trouble to go there. I mean, they hadn't seen the Celtic, and I had, of course.
Were they not aware that a club like Celtic was playing as well as they were at that time?
No, well, I think they tend to look down upon them because they're small nations, you know. But, I mean, Celtic's record, I mean, before then and since then, of course, has been remarkable.
And here come the officials and the two teams. The referee is the Kurt Kincher of Waiting Inter Milan. There's Jockstein on the right. And the whole of this national stadium burst into a flurry of green and white flags for that team, Celtic. Away come Inter. This is Pichikli, Mazzola. Good ball to Capellini. A penalty, he's given it, it's a penalty. It's a penalty. There's Mazzola. And listen to the Celtic fans and the Portuguese fans. It's 1-0 for Inter. Defense like Inter's. Now Clark to Murdoch. Now have to come out. 5 minutes left now. 1 goal each. Gemmell.
So I am delighted at having the privilege of making this presentation to you, which of course is for the best club and team performance of the year. And needless to say, we've just seen the picture of the best performance of the year, which your boys done so magnificently in winning it, and not only bringing the European Cup back to Scotland for the first time, but to Great Britain as well. May I extend to you, Joe, your directors, Billy and your players, and your staff, sincere congratulations and on a great performance.
Thank you very much, Mark. It gives us great pleasure to accept this trophy, not only on behalf of our club, but on behalf of Scottish football. It's good to see us there and being the first team, not only a British team, but Scottish team to win this trophy. And naturally, I'm quite sure that the good wishes of the Celtic Football Club, the players and Scottish football, we hope that the next hands at the European Cup are in their years. Thank you very much.
And indeed they were. Alan Heron of the Sunday Mail, you've travelled the world with Jock Stein in company with your other colleagues in the press. He was a great believer in building solid relationships with the media, wasn't he?
Very much so, actually, right from his early days. And I must say he was a very easy man to interview. Very interesting man to interview, because you would go and see him he would say, look, come and see me for 10 minutes. An hour later you were still there. And I think a lot of my colleagues in the journalistic world benefited from knowing Jock Stein, from speaking to Jock Stein while they were working and in their leisure moments.
Did you ever get the impression he was deliberately giving you a line, that he wanted it printed, that he wanted it in?
Oh yes. When he was manager of Celtic, he deliberately set out to try and get Rangers off the back page of the Sunday newspapers. And he did it so well.
Well, like what, for example?
Well, like, and he would know that maybe Rangers were going well, perhaps in the European Cup tie. He'd think they're doing very well. It looks as though they're going to get a real splash on Sunday. So he would think of himself, what can I give them? Could maybe knock Rangers off the back page. And he would think of something. Can't think of anything specific, but he would bring up something very nice, and we would have to take it.
I must say that, you know, when you talked to him in the past in these nights that we had, there was always something of an insight, which actually did happen. We're not saying it just because of this occasion. In conversations, he always gave you another insight into a particular game or another player.
He was always worth speaking to, Archie. And people asked, how did Jock Stein relax? He never really relaxed. No. He relaxed in football, in the company of footballers, in the company of journalists, in the company of people he liked. And he would sit back, have a cup of tea and a biscuit, because that's what he loved. And he would talk to you about football players. And he loved sitting with the press because he would deliberately set out to stir us up, set one against the other and get a little fight going, and he enjoyed that. That was his way of relaxing.
Did you ever see him under pressure, real pressure, and perhaps reacting to it?
I think the man was under pressure almost in every game he played. because football to him was life. And I think, honestly, when I saw the game yesterday, I honestly get the impression, actually, we'd asked him to play one game too many. That's the way I felt about it.
Looking back over his career and his relationship with the press, would you pick out the 1967 game as the game that gave you the most satisfaction in dealing with him?
Well, there's no question about it. I travelled and watched Celtic in every tie they played, and the two chaps sitting here were with me.
I've had opportunities to move, good opportunities to move, moves that would have been better financially to me. But I've got ties here, I've got ties that I've got my home here, my family prefer to be here. But the most important tie here is that I like to be manager of Celtic, and I like the people I'm working with. It's as simple and straightforward as that. I like the players I'm working with. The directors I work with are very good as well, so I've got no complaints. And the most important thing is, I like the people who support us. I like to see them getting a bit of success. And I'm egotistical enough to think that if I'm here, we'll have reasonable success anyway. Maybe wrong in that, but I'm quite happy with it. I try to take an interest in them on and off the field, and I think that the real success that I've had, if any, is because I've treated each player with respect and got his respect in return.
You would say, you'd put it respect higher than discipline, would you?
I would say so, yes. Yeah.
Are you a disciplinarian?
To a certain extent, yes, I would say so, yeah. But I come and go a bit. Probably I'm supposed to be hard, but I'm probably softer than most of them. I think we're made important through the masses being attentive to football, but we're not near as important as people make us out to be. Take the cause that we're up here in Fraserburgh playing for instance, the lifeboat disaster fund. These are very important people, and possibly we all look at them as just something that happens, but these are important people in life, plus people who spend a lot of time with crippled children and the infirmed and invalids and things like that. These are more important people than we are, but we do a service that people accept and go mad about, and it's quite good in that respect, but at times we're made too important. But football without fans is nothing. You play a football match without fans, you've got nothing. It can be the greatest game in the world. If there are no people there to watch it, it becomes nothing. Give a great game with no one there, as you say, it's nothing. Give an average game with a big crowd, excitement, atmosphere, this makes it a great game. The fans are the lifeblood of the game, and the sooner that the people in football realise this, the better it will be for each and individual club. I've had a good standard of living from football. Certainly there's a lot of worries and a lot of hard times in it, but I think the most any manager gets from football is seeing everyday boys join a club as youngsters and growing into men and giving themselves better social standing than they could ever have dreamed of from a game of football. I think this is a real reward in it.
In 1974, a car driving down the wrong side of the A74 ran headlong into his friend Tony Queen's Mercedes, which Jock was driving back from the holiday in Menorca. They were held up at customs. They were therefore later than they ought to have been. The car, Jock, and the other passengers were badly smashed up. His good friend Bob Shankly suffered more than most. This had a really traumatic effect on the entire group, and some have said that Jock was never quite the same man. Well, who would be? In fact, he made as good a recovery as any could expect. He left Celtic in 1978. He took the Leeds job, but in truth, he was not wholly satisfied with a situation which would take his family life out of the close circle of Glasgow friends. With the morale of the international squad at a very low ebb, he grasped the opportunity to lead Scotland back to respectability. He went into the first qualifying rounds and successfully steered Scotland to the top of the section without losing a game. We adopted a new habit of winning away from home.
Robertson. Going wide again, a good play by Robertson. Away by one of the outstanding defenders, High Impar, and that is why John Robertson is so highly thought of by Jock Stein and of course by Brian Clough. That ability he has to go outside backs when all seems lost and get it away. Alec McLeish is there. This must be a chance of brilliant goal. Kenny Dalglish, 1-0 for Scotland.
And there's this good view of Jock, and Jock looks quite relaxed, and I think he's got that mood across to the Scottish team. He's a Hartford playing in his 50th cap, 50th international for Scotland. Souness. Brilliant pass forward. Oh, there's a great goal, a brilliant goal! Dave Neary, 1-0 for Scotland. Oh, what a superb goal!
Light of Fiesta in Seville. Now, I watched many a Scottish international, and people watching this program have seen even more than I have. But the finest performance, to my mind, will be associated with Jock Snape. It wasn't so long ago, and it was against class opposition. But I still recall the tingling of pride I felt as Scotland demolished Spain and justified that old concept of having a good conceit of herself. It was a magical night. The goals were beautifully manufactured. From the outset, Scotland looked dominant and aggressive, a reflection of the mood of the big man himself, with his new star Maurice Johnson. Spain were intensely under pressure, but not just sheer, blunt aggression. It was done with great skill. This goal in particular. And then one of the best goals Hampden has ever seen, Kenny Dalglish. One to make everybody proud. Well, you can't help saying to yourself as you look down at the manager's bench during a game, who would want that job, particularly at international level, where there are so many conditions well out with your control. I remember how Jock kept secret to the last second the illness of Kenny Dalglish and Steve Nicol in Seville. That was a hard and a very hard blow to him indeed. But you could tell that even with his own experience, he wasn't taking these blows easily. And then he had to sit through the game in a stadium where avalanches of hatred fell on our heads, except that the buck was stopping with him, not with us.
An observer here, and he saw 4 bottles being lifted from the game. The goalkeeper's been pelted with oranges all the time. How can you concentrate all the time and play football like that, and you've got people like that come at you, deliberately hitting people and kicking them, putting a head on them, and the linesman standing 10 yards away from them and not doing a thing? But that's Spanish football.
Today, a lot of people are grieving. He was, as Ernie Walker was saying earlier today, the father figure of Scottish football. Well, a lot of Scots people have been talking of him today, and talking with great sincerity and, of course, admiration. Some well-known, some not so well-known, all of them with an acute sense of loss.
Thinking about all the good he'd done for me personally, not only just for me, but whole Scottish football, and I still haven't slept yet. Thinking about all the great he's done for me.
He was an exceptional man. He had first-class knowledge of football, and as a player, I really owe almost everything to him for the success I had.
He was an amazing figure, sort of father figure, not only I think of Scottish football, but probably of British football. Tremendously respected person in the game, tremendously knowledgeable man about football. One always had the feeling that no matter what Jock had done, even had it not been football that he made his career in, he would have been an outstanding figure.
I was in the Prairie Colliery, worked with him. He worked number 3 pit in the bottom for quite a while. Then he left number 3 pit, went over at number 4 pit. And he worked there with Head Baltimore for a long while. He left there in 1952 when the Prairie closed for the water. He went away to Lanelli.
He was always a happy-go-lucky lad, Jock Stein. Even when he worked, as Pat says, in the Prairie, nothing was a problem to Jock. He pick a team for an idle day in the pit and play in the local public park. That was Jock's life. Football, his dancing and what have you. Of course, he liked his odd punting the horses. Well, that was his prerogative. He enjoyed that, and that was that. But then I was sorry and sad to hear the news of Jock Stein last night.
I just hope that the Scottish players write his epitaph in Mexico when they get there and give a great account of himself, just for the benefit of the man. Just to remember the man by the team he created when he went to Mexico.
There it is. We're all very saddened. But Jock Stein was a supreme optimist. He taught us a lot, and we should learn by it and with uphold his standards. And I leave the last word now to his great friend, Bill Shankly, talking of this great man after that superb achievement in 1967. He said it better than all of us put together.
Yes, yes, Steen's a remarkable man. Yeah, that everything seems to be natural to him. He seems to do the right things at the right time. And whilst he can tear a strip of you and all, and people think he's maybe lost his head, within that, he hasn't. He knows what he's saying. Yeah. A real remarkable man, yeah. One of the most remarkable men that's ever been in the game. If he's got useful players, and he trains them the right way, and he gets them all to do what they can do, you know, well. If he gets them all to do well, the little things they can do, and he merges them all together, it's a form of socialism, you know, without the politics, of course. Jock Stein is a man who's got the blood of Bruce in his veins, you know. That's my opinion of him. I mean, he's unafraid of anything. Yeah. And this is what you've got to be. He's got courage. And if you've got ability, and you've got courage, and you've got know-how, then that's the recipe. When I was in the dressing room after the game, because I remember Jock, I think he'd just come out the bath, he was sweating as much as the players. And with Hugh McIlvenney, and I said, Jock, you're immortal now.
Thousands of people lined the streets of Glasgow this afternoon to say their last farewell to Jock Stein, who collapsed and died after Scotland's match with Wales on Tuesday. And at the crematorium where the funeral took place, leading figures from British football paid their own tributes, along with family and friends.
Jock Stein's family had asked his vast following to respect their wish for privacy at the funeral service itself, so the people of Glasgow paid their tribute by lining the route of the cortege. Police estimated the number at 10,000. There was the occasional sign of the adulation which Jock Stein so often enjoyed in life, but mostly people just stood silently as this most respected of football heroes made his final journey. At the Lynn Crematorium in the south of Glasgow, there were football players and managers from all over Britain. Among them were England manager Bobby Robson and Celtic's David Hay. The Celtic party also included some who'd played under Jock Stein at Parkhead and others who'd graduated to the national team under his guidance. Kenny Dalglish, now himself a manager, was one of Stein's most trusted players, as was Scotland team captain Graham Souness, who found it difficult to conceal his distress. Other mourners included rock singer Rod Stewart, who counts himself among Scotland's keenest supporters. And an old friend of Jock Stein's, Sir Matt Busby of Manchester United, was greatly moved at the way Glasgow had paid its respects to the big man.
Absolutely tremendous. Walking along there, right there behind us, walking along for, it seemed miles, and the people, they're packed, the people, it's packed on both sides of the road. A wonderful tribute to a wonderful man.
Jock Stein's widow Jean was comforted by their son George and daughter Ray. In his sermon, the Reverend James Martin spoke of the two sides to Jock Stein's character, the football genius without peer and the warm-hearted, generous family man. He was, he said, a football immortal who would be sadly missed. The service ended with the singing of Abide With Me, a football anthem which was a particular favourite of Jock Stein. Among the floral tributes was one in the shape of a football trophy, commemorating the record 9 league titles which Jock Stein won with Celtic. Another said simply, "Rest in peace, big man."
Celtic lining up, of course, with Mo Johnston at centre forward, back in the side after his suspension and place on the subs bench last week, and he's offside. McGrain wearing number 3 but playing at right back, lending his experience to the back four, which reads McGrain, Aiken, McGugan and White. Cooper's forward pass, here's Durant, challenged by McGugan. So Pat Bonner has made the long trip back from international duty in Bulgaria in midweek. For the Republic of Ireland, there's McInally. Celtic opening up with McClair playing off the front two of Johnston and McInally, but here's Murdo MacLeod with space. Paul McStay right in the middle of midfield for Celtic. Here's McClair. Return from MacLeod.
And Johnston was beaten to the ball by Stuart Munro. A good piece of defending by the Rangers fullback. But Celtic have the corner kick. And Mo Johnston certainly looks anxious to make an impression in the early stages of the match. McGugan has joined the Celtic attack for Paul McStay's corner. Kept in play by McStay. There's Johnston. Just inches over the top. A brilliant header from Mo Johnston. That could so easily have been the opening goal the Celtic fans were praying for. The initial ball was headed firmly back by Derek Ferguson. Good control here from McStay on the chest. And then that near post cross. Johnston was alert. The back header, and Woods looked to be in trouble. Here's Derek White. McLeod towards Johnston. Faced again by Roberts. The knock across. And again the wind posing problems for the goalkeepers. Chris Woods had to react and adjust his position very quickly indeed to take that ball from Johnston. Well, you can see how difficult life will be this afternoon for goalkeepers as Johnston flighted that in. It appeared to swerve towards goal, and the adjustment made by Woods was just in time. McGrain's header, there's McInally. Interception by Butcher. Souness to Ferguson. McPherson goes on the outside. Here's Durant. It's a good turn. Good play by Durant. McPherson now has space on the right. And the spin was judged well by Derek White. Souness to Cooper. Sidestepping McGrain. Derek White getting in front of McCoist, but it's McPherson now for Rangers. Here's Roberts. Fleck. Derek White forced to play the ball wide of goal as McCoist cut off the route to Bonner. So a corner kick to Rangers. It's their first corner kick of the match, and David McPherson takes the opportunity to go forward along with Terry Butcher. So Cooper lines up the in-swinger. There's Butcher and McPherson at the near post. Roberts hovering at the edge of the box. And that was swirling in under the bar, and it's been chopped off for a foul by Fleck on the goal line. Davy Cooper can scarcely believe it. And really, I doubt if any action from Fleck affected the issue here. A bit of pushing around the near post area, but Bonner was in serious trouble, and that is undoubtedly a let-off for Celtic. McGugan's tackle. There's McClare. Now McLeod. Forced across field by the Rangers midfield players. There's McGrain. And that's good running by McLeod. And the cross aimed towards McClare. It's won by Roberts. McStay trying to flick that towards Mo Johnston. Good ball from Roberts to Durant. Fleck and McCoist are in attack. There's Fleck. He's onside. No, the flag has gone up. Well, certainly wasn't much in that. The linesman Jim Carlin from Linlithgow had the flag up for Robert Fleck, and I fancy he may well have been in line, which puts him offside. Good move this though from Rangers. Durant trying to time the pass forward. There was Fleck. The hand up from Derek White. Johnston doing well against Butcher. Souness dumps it forward towards McCoist. Support comes from Ferguson. McPherson racing forward on the right. He has to be quick to catch that pass from Ferguson. Now Durant. Tackled by Aiken. White to McInally. The layoff to McStay. That's a great pass towards McClare. Taking on Durant. Celtic getting men forward quickly now. There's Grant. Now McStay, back it comes to McLeod. There was a deflection, that'll be a corner kick. Good inventive play from Celtic coming forward. And all opened up by that superb pass initially from Paul McStay. He was the man again who set back the short ball from Murdo McLeod, which was deflected for the corner kick. So McGugan's turn to go forward. Along with Derek White. There's McGrain with a lot of space. Standing inside McCoist. Back it comes to McLeod. And no one coming in at the far post for Celtic. Something of a wasted opportunity that, as McLeod set up the opening for a cross which Derek White was several yards short of. It's McLeod, now McClear. Waiting for Murdo McLeod, using him as a decoy. Good play from McClear. And the cutback is won by Souness, who's fouled by Johnston. So a little bit of gamesmanship there from Graham Souness after that angry exchange with Johnston. McGugan's header, chested down by Butcher. There's McCoist. Cooper does well to retain possession. Now Souness. Derek Ferguson. Queuing up in the middle now for Rangers. One of them, Souness. That was a magnificent opportunity for Graham Souness. The Celtic defenders think he was offside. But Graham Souness really will feel he should have scored from that situation. There's Ferguson with the cross. Slanting it over beyond Roy Aitken. There was Souness with a clear header. And that's a situation he's not normally called upon to exploit. Pushing by Grant on Durant, so a free kick to Rangers on the halfway line. Ian Durant having a very interesting battle with Peter Grant in the midfield. Terry Butcher. Header from McLeod. The player gets there in front of Roberts. Butcher's clearance. Ball swirling awkwardly, and it's returned by Monroe to Fleck. It's a good turn. Robert Fleck going through Murdo McLeod at full stretch. There's Fleck. And good goalkeeping by Bonner in the end. But that was undoubtedly a chance for Robert Fleck. And Fleck showing his tremendous acceleration as he moved forward. There he goes now, driving through the Celtic defence. This is good play also by Murdo McLeod, putting pressure on without making any rash challenge. And Bonner spreading himself to gather the shot. Oh, the referee goes down. Quickly back on his feet as Murdo McLeod goes forward on the left for Celtic. McLeod lining up for the shot. Well, that's certainly carelessness by the Rangers defence. They must know about Murdo McLeod's shooting power. And he was given the chance there to come forward. A lot of space there to direct the shot at Chris Woods, but comfortably taken in the end. Now here's Johnston breaking on the right. Butcher barring his path, and there's Roberts with the header. McGugan now being picked up by Terry Butcher inside the box at the near post. It's Murdo McLeod who'll attempt the in-swinger to test Chris Woods. The header by White. Woods is in trouble. There's Aitken. McClear, and the handball is a penalty kick. It's Brian McClear's shot. It was palmed over the bar, and Celtic have the penalty. The corner kick causing all sorts of problems for the Rangers defence. The initial header by White. Woods couldn't get to the ball. There's McClear, and it's palmed over the bar by Stuart Monroe. So it's McClear against Woods. The referee is making certain all the players are 10 yards away. 1-0 to Celtic. Comprehensively deposited by Brian McClear, and the jubilation now from the Celtic fans. No chance at all for Chris Woods. And Brian McClear, the goal-scoring machine, gets number 35 of the season. With just 11 minutes of the first half to go. We'll see this again. Thump to Wood's right. The keeper goes to the left. The perfect penalty kick. David Hay looking very tense, but must be substantially relieved by that opening goal. Rangers player manager Graham Souness now realising they'll have to chase the game more and get into some attacking positions. They appear to be coping well, Rangers, with the Celtic attack until that Mother McLeod corner kick. And that's McClare's third goal against Rangers this season, the only Celtic player to score against Rangers. And here he goes again, breaking on the right. And Stuart Munro positioned himself well. There's McClare leaving the throw to Peter Grant. And it sounds as though we may have off here at Celtic Park as these Celtic supporters celebrate the opening goal. And that will be great inspiration to Celtic to look for a second. There's Johnston, and that is another penalty kick. Terry Butcher. Butcher looks furious, and referee Bob Valentine gave the decision instantly. And this was brilliant play from Johnston, going past Butcher towards the byline, and certainly that appeared to be a clear penalty kick. And here's Brian McClare as the ball is blown off the penalty spot, and that certainly is disconcerting for the kicker. So Chris Woods again with the dilemma. Does he go to his right or go the same way as the first time? There's McClare. Identical from McClare, and Woods couldn't reach it. It's 2-0 to Celtic. So the Celtic players absolutely jubilant. Another superb penalty kick. Woods guessed right this time, but the power and the accuracy beat him comprehensively. And there's Munro with the cross. McCoist is there, so is Bonner. He's had a splendid match so far in goal for Celtic. Stuart Munro sending over a very difficult swirling ball which Bonner took very confidently. And there goes the half-time whistle. There's Brian McClare, the Celtic player who scored both goals in the first half in the penalty spot in the 34th and 37th minute. But Celtic started the game very, very brightly indeed. It looked as though Rangers had weathered the early storm, and then a corner kick from Murdo McLeod was swirled in. Chris Woods was at sea, and when McClare's shot came in, Munro palmed it over to allow McClare to drill home the first penalty kick. And then Butcher pulled down Mo Johnston 3 minutes later. McClare repeated the dose, and that's what gives Celtic the half-time lead. It's Celtic 2, Rangers 0. So Celtic set off to maintain their undefeated home record this season, and they certainly have gone the right way about it in the first half with these 2 goals from the penalty spot from Brian McClare. And there's the first foul of the second half. Jimmy Nicholl, wearing number 12, is on the field. He has replaced Dave McPherson in the Rangers ranks, and he's gone straight into right back. But before he sees any action, the referee will have a word with Derek Ferguson for that foul. There's the young Rangers midfield player, just 19 years old. Rangers started off clearly intent on sitting in and frustrating the Celtic attack, but these penalty kicks have changed the complexion of the match. David Hay smoking the cigar, still looking very tense and pensive as Fleck makes progress. Putting it back to Roy Aitken. There's Roberts. There's Paul McStay. Opening play out, coming across field. That's for Grant. A chase now for McInally. It's a good pass. Butcher comes across the early ball. There's Johnston. He can't reach it. Well, that was almost an opening for Mo Johnston. Jimmy Nicholl tidies up for Rangers. But Peter Grant's pass releasing McAnally on the right, the first time cross just beyond Mo Johnston. McStay doing some climbing on the shoulders of Graham Souness. Free kick to Rangers. So Graham Roberts will take it, and Terry Butcher has moved forward at his height to the Rangers attack. Waller takes it cleanly. Certainly has not made the semblance of an error in the match so far. Grant's header. Butcher did well with Johnston. Cooper, now Souness. Jimmy Nicholl going forward on the right. There's Ferguson. McGugan at full stretch. There's Cooper. And McCoist is offside. The flag is up. Referee Valentine reacts to the linesman's flag. And McCoist was the man caught offside as Ferguson's cross came over. McGugan did well initially, nodding the ball on. There was Davy Cooper. You see McCoist now is in that offside position as Cooper sends the ball across. So what appeared to be handball later on by Aiken, well, that's doubtful, I think, but in any event, the whistle had gone for offside. Souness chipping it wide to Nicholl. There's Fleck. With Ferguson, Souness is free in the middle. Got a lot of space. He also has Cooper free on the left. Now a chance for Rangers. Cooper taking on McGrain. That's McCoist! A brilliant goal from Rangers. 8 minutes into the second half and Rangers are right back in the match. Celtic made to pay for slackness in midfield, allowing space for Souness in particular. But Ali McCoist gets his 32nd goal of the season. There was Souness with the pass. Out to Cooper. Now this is what makes Cooper such a special player. Going away from McGrain with ease. And then that beautifully flighted ball across the face of the goal. There was McCoist and Bonner had no chance at all. Now Jimmy Nicholl. McCoist with Aiken. McGugan did a cross to win the ball from Gillent. Still in play. Good piece of defending by the big centre-half. McAnally linking with McClair. It's 3 against 2. And McAnally goes down. Roberts will certainly be in trouble. A shocking tackle by Graham Roberts. He was being outpaced by McAnally. McAnally striding forward. He had Johnston on his right. Roberts was being beaten there. And there's no question he took the man out. And referee Bob Valentine is now taking disciplinary action against Roberts. Well, it's a yellow card, clearly. But Graham Roberts, who already faces a period of suspension, we're ensuring it may be longer. Perhaps now too far out for a direct shot, even with the prowess of McLeod and McClair. Chip too high for Johnston. This Woods wins it. Headed by White. There's Ferguson. McLeod. Peter Grant going in with Munro. It's Cooper who wins it. Nice foul by McLeod. Bad tackle by McLeod and Cooper. And it'll be McLeod now who's in trouble with the referee. So there was Cooper coming out of that ruck of players. McLeod coming across with that tackle. That's a bad one. There's no question about it. And Cooper has gone down heavily. Remember, he had that shoulder injury before today's match. And it looks as though that may have been exacerbated by the tackle from Murdo McLeod. So booking for the Celtic midfield player. Here's Souness. Butcher chasing for the ball. He got his foot to it, but he couldn't put it on target. The long left leg of Terry Butcher causing problems for the Celtic defence. A delicate, chipped free kick from Souness. Butcher was clearly the target. Sprinting across, covered by McGugan. Bonner appeared to be getting there first, but Butcher stretched to touch it behind for the goal kick. Robert Fleck. McGugan judged that well to intercept, but the clearance goes out for the Rangers throw. The Rangers exerting more pressure on the Celtic defence, looking for the equaliser. Cooper now on the right. That's a fine cross, a chance for McCoist! And a golden opportunity for Ali McCoist goes a-begging. Pat Bonner is furious with his defensive teammates, and Cooper almost opened up the Celtic defence once again. Well, here's Cooper now on the right, comes on to his left foot, slants the cross over. Fleck couldn't reach it. There was McCoist with a great chance for Rangers, and the ball goes agonisingly over the crossbar. And now a change is being made by Celtic. They're taking off Alan McInally and bringing on Owen Archdeacon. So Archdeacon will slot into the left side of midfield, allowing McClair to go forward and be the principal support for Mo Johnston. White to McClair. Grant going to touch. Johnston is onside. A great chance now for Celtic's third. And Mo Johnston uncharacteristically wastes the opportunity, but there would have been a riot, I fancy, of one kind or another had that goal gone in, because the appeals for offside from the Rangers fans were vociferous. Came off the heel of Peter Grant, nodded forward. There was Johnston, who certainly appeared to be offside, and in the end he hurried the shot over the top. Fleck with Aiken, back it goes to Durant. Laid off for McCoist. This must be the equaliser now. Souness, and it's over the top. Appeals for handball, and referee Valentine is not interested. Ali McCoist is furious that there's no penalty decision. But a corner kick it is, and what a chance this was as Durant played the ball across. It was screened by Ferguson into the path of McCoist, who really should have buried this opportunity. But the shot blocked by the combined efforts of McLeod and Bonner. It came back to McCoist, and it glanced off the shoulder of White. And the replacement, the first look for us at Jimmy Phillips, the former Bolton Wanderers fullback, coming on to replace the injured Davy Cooper. So that will involve some reorganisation, I think, of the Rangers' ranks, and let's see what they do. Pat Bonner taking all the time in the world now to allow his men to get forward. We're into the closing stages of the match as Grant has a misunderstanding there with Danny McGrain, giving the throw to Rangers. Here's Fleck. Monroe playing it forward. It's headed down by Aiken only as far as Fleck. There's Phillips. Stopped by White. Souness nodding it down to Ferguson. Here's Phillips again. What a time to make your first appearance for Rangers, and Souness will be in trouble for that challenge. A blatant body check by Graham Souness. I will see this here, coming in, thumping into the tackle, and Peter Grant took the full brunt of that, and there's a booking for Souness. Not much noise for the moment from the Rangers' end. Time fast running out for equaliser. Archdeacon. Here to come off Jimmy Nicholl. That's a throw to Celtic. Nicholl gathering the ball hopefully. The Celtic fans now sensing victory. There's Mo Johnston. McClair. Roberts. McClair back towards Johnston. Chris Wood's coming out with a foot up. Johnston took the full brunt of that. A corner kick's been given. Murdo MacLeod protesting to the referee. That was a foul by Woods. And Mo Johnston certainly is in trouble. So Johnston waved onside as he goes forward. The ball bouncing as Woods came out. The foot was up all right. And Chris Woods may consider himself lucky that there was no more serious action taken by referee Valentine. The Celtic fans welcome Mo Johnston back on his feet. Corner kick to Celtic. Paul McStay will take it. The low one collected by McCoist. Immediately bumped to the deck by Paul McGugan. And McCoist doing his defensive chore effectively, and McGugan was penalised. The chance now for Celtic. It's Archdeacon, and that's the third goal. A disaster in the Rangers defence, and Owen Archdeacon clinches the match for Celtic. Quite incredible. The free kick between Woods and Nicholl goes wrong. Look at this now. Woods very casual. There's Jimmy Nicholl. He didn't control it. Archdeacon stepped in. The Rangers defender still protesting that Archdeacon was too close to the action. But Owen Archdeacon gets only his second goal of the season. And it's 3-1 to Celtic.
Yes, an incredible... McNeil's lads at Hearts today will be enough to clinch their 35th championship and obviously make the club's centenary year.
Work all night in the cold and dark, build that dream. Work all night at the Celtic Park, build that team. Hibs and Cowley are on their way, can't be late. They'll be here on the 8th of May, make that day.
In a church hall in the centre of Glasgow, the Wildcat Theatre Company rehearse a new musical. It celebrates 100 years of Celtic Football Club.
It's a great story. It's a club which has been going for 100 years, an enormously successful club, and a great many anecdotes and tales connected with it, the stuff of theatre, really. And the story of the supporters is really the story that we're telling. The Glasgow Irish Catholic community which came over from Ireland during the Great Hunger, and the way in which they've emerged from the ghetto is parallel in the way in which the club has become successful.
£60,000 worth of tickets have already been sold for the 8-week season at the Pavilion Theatre. The idea came from Celtic's chairman. The club have underwritten production costs. The poster features the current team in the costumes and whiskers of their predecessors. And the founding fathers of 1888 are also being remembered in an exhibition at the People's Palace. On video, in glass cases full of glory, in silverware to widen impressionable eyes, legends are preserved for the young to carry into the next century. It's a great party, and the cherry on the icing on the cake was January's win over Rangers.
Stay. No offside. That's a great move by Morris. McAvenny with a chance to score. No Woods in goal, and that's a goal. McAvenny.
Goals from a remotivated Frank McAvenny, and a victory that started, as so many have this season, at the talented feet of Paul McStay.
It's just a role I enjoy playing in the middle of the midfield, and the gaffer just gave us a licence to go anywhere I want really, and pick up the ball. It suits me.
These streets have bred generations of gifted players who found in football a means of expression as well as a livelihood. On the east side, Parkhead is the shrine of a club with its foundations deep in Irish Catholic soil. Youngsters these days don't have to kick a tennis ball against a wall. The new Glasgow has playing space, practical though, rather than lavish. Celtic themselves are no millionaires club. Their training ground is Spartan, and they're not the only ones who use it. The quality is in the players and the passion of their dedication. Roy Aitken has skippered the team to the verge of the double. How does he rate them?
I think it's got to stand up there beside the best that I've played in, because, you know, we're on the verge of winning the double. I've only won that once in my career. It was back in 76, 77 under Jock Stein.
Dial detectors. It's a great equaliser. Aitken has equalised.
And with great players like Kendall, Lee Stein, McGrain, Pat Stanton in the team. But this team really is on the verge of great things.
What's made it so good?
Just the appetite within the team. I mean, we've always been a good team when we had the ball, but this year in particular, we've been a good team when we've not got the ball. And we really hustle opponents into losing the ball, and we get it back really quickly.
Aitken is a man of presence, a natural leader. Just as Billy McNeill was the extension of Jock Stein on the pitch in the 70s, so Aitken translates into practice the principles McNeill now demands in his second spell as Celtic's manager. Now, this was the season when, to an outsider, it seems that everything was all cut and dried for Rangers, and you rather upset the apple cart, haven't you?
Yes, we're quite pleased about that in many ways, but we're more important, we're pleased for our own success. We've got a tremendous group of supporters here, and they were desperate for something to happen. These players have made it happen, and it's been terrific.
Among the men who've done it, Joe Miller, the precocious dribbler from Aberdeen, who was persuaded to prefer Parkhead to Old Trafford as McNeill undertook a major restructuring of his team. Andy Walker, who cost £350,000 when he was transferred from Motherwell last summer, has blossomed as Celtic's leading scorer with 30 goals in all competitions.
Well, that diagonal pass has been proving useful to Rogan. Oh, that's it! Andy Walker, 2-0.
Among Walker's priceless contribution was a last-minute winner against Hearts last Saturday to take Celtic to the Cup final.
It's a tantalising one. Goals given. Walker is getting the congratulations.
Before Celtic turn their thoughts again to the Cup, they can take the first part of the double. Today they meet Hearts again, and the point at Tynecastle would hoist the championship pennant over Parkhead for the 6th time in 13 seasons of the Premier Division. For McNeill, the savour is no less sweet now than it was when he was the rock of the 70s side of all the talents.
McNeill, a goal! A goal by McNeill as the Rangers defend. Absolutely smash, brilliantly taken by McNeill.
Kenny Dalglish. Connolly.
It must be the goal. There's the equaliser by Jimmy Johnston.
Heroes for Celtic are heroes forever. Jimmy Johnston was signing copies of his new book this week, and the queues stretched round the shop. But Johnston's share in memories of the past doesn't blind him to the qualities of the present.
The way they're playing just now, I'm delighted, obviously. And Joe Miller, I think they've bought possibly one of the most exciting players that I've seen at Celtic for a long time. A lot of the fans will agree with me there. When Joe came, he added that little bit of width to it, and it's taken a lot off the front two runners.
You wish you were still out there?
I love it. I would love to, yes.
We'll need the perspective of time before we can say just how good are the Celtic of the centenary season. But the signs are that these are vintage years again for the green and whites.
Work all night in the cold and dark, build that dream. Work all night at the Celtic Park, big deal of the Sunday, make that day shine along the ground.
He's going through again. He's there.
The gates and all.
McStay, the equaliser.
Paint the Scottish Championship green in this their centenary season. For the 35th time in those 100 years, the club formed to help the poor in the parishes of the East End of Glasgow are the best in the country. Officially 60,800 watched them past the winning post yesterday. They came for the football, for the singing and the dancing, and for a great day out. They were not disappointed. It was all so different less than 12 months ago.
And it's in, it's a goal from Gilmour. Jimmy Gilmour has scored for Falkirk.
Those scarves raised in triumph yesterday were thrown in disgust as Celtic under Davy Hay ended a miserable season. To make matters worse, Rangers were at the same time not just winning the championship, but also threatening to found a dynasty based on a chequebook. If yesterday Celtic were 100 years young, then they were a decrepit 99 years old. There was no hint that Graham Souness and company were about to be tackled and beaten. Football obeys no laws of logic. Fate is sometimes more important. While Celtic was struggling, so too one of the club's most famous sons was getting what is called in Glasgow the Dan Mac. Billy McNeill had fled to England after falling out with Celtic over money in 1983. There he had managed Manchester City. He'd gone on to Aston Villa and now faced for the first time the dreaded P45, the Bullet. McNeill was on his bike. He was jobless for the first time in 30 years. McNeill at least found some companionship just 2 days later amongst the Lisbon Lions. The side he had captained to become the first British club to win the European Cup 20 years before. They were back for a big reunion. He put a brave face on it, difficult for a proud man, but inside he ached.
The first time I'd been out of work in something like 30 years, I'd left school and obviously had a job, and 30 years on you're out of work and you begin to wonder, the only thing that you think you know is football. Everything else would have been an experiment. So no, it wasn't a good month. I didn't particularly enjoy it.
He'd hardly been put on the scrap heap before he was rescued. Next day he met Celtic chairman Jack McGinn in a car park at Dumbarton. Want the job, said McGinn. A second later McNeill said yes.
Well, the honest thinking was that we felt over a little period of time that there was a bit of staleness, and we weren't really in the ascendancy, if you like, you know, and we slowly but surely felt that some change was needed, and the rest is history now.
And I really was at a total crossroads because I didn't know which way to turn. I had been given the opportunity to go to Airdrie. I'd also been given the opportunity to go to the Arab countries, and I really didn't know which way to turn. And I couldn't make up my mind entirely. There was another option that perhaps I'm going to forget about the football aspect at all and maybe go into some kind of business. So from that point of view, the whole thing just turned upside down, and I came out smelling rosy, really.
Well, I mean, Neil is and always has been an out-and-out Celt. I mean, he played all his football career here. He was the captain of the team. He was captain of one of the most successful teams in the history of the club. The fact that there was a separation, if you like, 4 years earlier didn't alter the fact that that bloke's heart lay at Celtic Park. And Billy had been here for 5 years as a manager of the club, so we knew he was a motivator, we knew that he was a winner, we knew that he could put Celtic back really on top again.
This was not just another player and former manager coming back to rebuild Celtic. No one in the history of Scottish football has won more than McNeill. As a player, on top of that European Cup, he captained Celtic to 9 successive league titles, 7 Scottish Cup triumphs, 6 League Cup wins. He played 486 league games for Celtic and 29 times for Scotland. In his first spell as manager, he won the Premier League 3 times. Actually, he's called Caesar because of Caesar Romero, the actor, not Caesar the Emperor. And at last, he had come home.
This club has meant so much to me, not just through football in life, but through my whole life, that I never had to hesitate for a minute about coming back here. I've always dreamed about coming back, to be quite frank with you. For a long time I thought it was going to be a nightmare, that wasn't going to turn out right, but for me the clouds had a silver lining.
The trouble was that the Celtic cupboard looked very bare. Murdo MacLeod, Alan McAnally, even Mo Johnson, the ultimate Celt, and Brian McClare had all felt that the grass could be even greener than at Parkhead, and they're gone.
It was very disappointing because, in particular, we lost the best potential strike force, really, if not in Scotland, certainly. If not in Britain, rather, certainly in Scotland, and that was going to be very, very difficult to alter. But equally, I had signed Brian McClare before I left for England, And Maurice Johnson was the kind of player that would have appealed to me. You know, he was a challenge. But both of them were very, very exciting players and obviously could score goals.
Excellent play from the Scotland midfield player. A chance for Johnson, and Celtic are ahead. Archdeacon. Chance again for Celtic. Ryan McClair. 2-0.
At Rangers, they would spend millions of pounds in the biggest investment ever made by a Scottish club. McNeil had to be worried about that club on the other side of the city.
I think all of us would like to be, and all of us in management would like to be in that position where we can go and buy the players that we really want. If your oldest rival is doing that type of things, then you've got to be aware of it, and certainly it worries you. But I have always felt that you've got to concentrate on doing your own thing and getting your own game in order, getting your team organised properly, and building up the aspects of team play that you think are important. You can't sort of spend the whole time looking over your shoulder and worrying what other people are doing. But nevertheless, you've got to be concerned and got to be aware of what they were doing.
From a point of view of buying players, it was necessary for us to replace players who had left the place. And, you know, I think if you look at the thing, you'll probably find that something like 4 players departed the scene and we brought 5 in. So it was not a case of us going out in a sort of spending spree to follow anybody. We did it our way.
First to arrive, Andy Walker from Motherwell for £350,000.
Andy settled in probably even better than I could have anticipated. In actual fact, all of the players have settled in very well. But Andy in particular settled in much better than I could ever have anticipated, because he hadn't had all that much experience, hadn't had a tremendous amount of experience at Motherwell. To come here and to settle in the manner which he has done has been great. In Billy Stark's case, we needed goals from midfield.
Now the chance for Stark. Well, that's brilliant play from Aberdeen.
So when I contacted Billy, he was delighted, but he had to be patient because I didn't want Billy Stark to be the first signing. I felt from a psychological point of view it was important that I didn't put too much pressure on him, because I knew there would be people who'd raise eyebrows at the first signing being Billy Stark. As it so happens, Billy's become a very, very firm favourite, and everything went very well. But he's a good example. He's a good player, but he's also a good example in the dressing room. He's a good example in the training ground as well.
On for the corner. Magnificent head at it, Billy Stark.
And he had no problems persuading Cornishman Chris Morris to sign from Sheffield Wednesday for £100,000.
I don't think anybody in the football world with any sort of knowledge of the game cannot know of Celtic. I mean, they're one of the biggest clubs in the world, fantastic tradition, fantastic support, legendary club, so nobody needed to introduce Celtic to me.
When I came at first, I did inquire for another Scottish player with a Scottish club, but I mean, the fees they were asking for were incredible, so I quickly switched the attention to Chris, and while there was a little bit of a gamble bringing someone from south of the border up here, he settled in so well and he's become a very, very firm favourite. Obviously, he's very much happier going forward than as a true defender, but you know, again, he follows a tradition in this club with Tommy Gemmell and Danny McGrain. That's accepted, and indeed it's demanded it sometimes.
But a few signings do not make a season. Celtic struggled before they succeeded.
Well, they're in trouble! Eric Ferguson! 2 wanted in Fanlon, and that was a disaster for the Celtic goalkeeper, Pat Bonner.
The signings had been sensible but not spectacular. The fans wanted Charlie Nicholas. McNeil was tempted, but when the club record was broken, it was Frank McAvenny, £850,000.
His type of player has always appealed to me. I was a centre-half myself, and I know the difficulties that you can have with someone as determined and as quick as Frank. And that was one prime factor in the whole thing. Equally, if you look at Frank's career, albeit he made a big move down to England and has made a bigger move back up to Celtic, he hasn't had any great share of honours. I know he's had some international caps, but in the playing sense, he hasn't been in a situation or in a team that's given him the opportunity to win prizes. I felt it was important that ambitious players came here, players that had felt they still had a lot to prove, and I felt in Frank's case that was there in abundance. But more importantly, he's quick, he's aggressive, and I think he's always capable of scoring goals, and equally he's always capable of creating situations where people around about him will score goals.
Joe Miller stepping away from Law. Stays pass. There's Burns. That was magnificent. Headed by McCormick. Returned by Rogan. Here's McAvenny.
Celtic look to the Granite City for the last piece in the jigsaw. Joe Miller at £650,000.
Forward, finds its way to Joe Miller, a chance for the equaliser. Yes! Joe Miller has done it for Aberdeen!
Initially we went to Aberdeen and asked about Joe Miller, and they said that under no circumstances would they sell him to us. That wasn't a personal thing between Aberdeen and Celtic. It was just, I think, a common sense attitude at that particular time that they didn't want such a talented young player to come to another Scottish club so their fans could see him regularly. I think they were perhaps resigned to the fact of losing him, and they may even have hoped that some of the English clubs would have come in and taken him.
In terms of creative accountancy, McNeil's shopping had not been expensive. With the players going and those coming, he'd spent just £200,000. Scotland captain Roy Aitken was, of course, part of a spine of talent and experience already at Celtic. Pat Bonner, Ayres goalkeeper at the European Championships this summer, was there. And so too was Paul McStay, named Footballer of the Year today, and the one Scottish player that McNeil regards as truly world-class. But they'd all been there in the last forgettable season. So what piece of chemistry was McNeil to bring to the team who would be champions?
He's a motivator. He's a winner. And that comes out and it spreads motivation throughout the club. And that's been a difference this year, that we've really had a great desire to win this year. He likes to take part in training sessions. He likes to kid on. And people like Frank McAvenny are ideal for him because he loves bouncing off people like Frank McAvenny. Telling him where he was at the weekend. We talk a lot about the game now. There's a lot of time spent on opposing teams, opposing players, and the whole system, the whole place is really alive at the moment.
I think he's, you know, last year we were a wee bit down, losing out in the league and honours last year at the end of the season, and he's come and he's rejuvenated everybody. He's just done simple things, just wee simple things that people forgot about. He had a meeting. Brought everybody in and sat us down and told us. One example was that he didn't want any more jeans. He says he didn't know which was nice jeans or bad jeans, so on. So he says no more. Wee simple things like that made us a wee bit more professional in our outlook, and I think it's rubbed off.
Yeah, I think he's brought a willingness to the players, a sort of determined attitude, which I think was lacking a wee bit the last couple of seasons. We all wanted to win, but maybe that wee edge when the big games were there, maybe we let ourselves down. Like the run-in we had there, Rangers, Dundee United, Aberdeen. These games we had to win maybe the last couple of seasons and we didn't, but this year we proved that with the new management there behind us, we went out and done it.
The very fact that Celtic are, you know, one of the top clubs in Britain, demands a certain style of management, I think, and the manager at the moment, for me, has got the charisma and the character and actually revels in the job, really enjoys it. And that, allied to his knowledge of the game, along with Tommy Craig, has been the recipe for success this season.
Between himself and Tommy Craig, Tommy's been very influential too. The two of them has brought about a whole new style. Really, we never had a style when we played with Celtic over the years since I've been there. We've just gone out and played. This year, we've concentrated a wee bit more on the defensive side, but the defensive side taking into account the whole team. When other teams get a ball, our forwards become the first guys that start defending.
I mean, you don't win anything at Celtic Football Club, it's a disaster, and that was the case last season. But we knew we had good young players to come into the side as well. We knew that there'd be money available for the manager to spend, and he spent it very wisely indeed.
What they had got was a hard man. Championship this year. Since January, to the usual repertoire of supporters' songs, the fans were also singing Happy Birthday. Founded in 1888 to help the poor, and in those days too there were plenty of them, they were created by Brother Walfrid. And they had gone on to become half of an old firm, the biggest rivals in a city where football shouts out loud, the first city in the world to attract crowds of 100,000 and more. In 1967, under the massive presence of Jock Stein, they had become more than just a Scottish legend. They had become the first British club to win the European Cup, beating Inter Milan in Lisbon. And it was Billy McNeil who had the job of picking up the biggest prize in club football, to the delight of a whole country. Celtic have always been, well, unpretentious. They guard their traditions fiercely. Their ground is homely rather than baronial, although in centenary season they've added a new front door and given themselves more space and just a hint of middle-class gentility. Their hold on their supporters is total. When an exhibition of Celtic memorabilia was put on display at the People's Palace, the City of Glasgow's museums department, had they been football people, would have been well advised to call it an all-ticket affair. Their centenary will also see them centre stage as well as centre circle, as a play celebrating their birthday is performed in Glasgow's Pavilion Theatre. It just proves how much a part of the very fabric of Glasgow this football club has become. It's inconceivable to think about this dear green place without them.
Them being supporters were drained emotionally, and so it was very difficult for the players, physically and mentally.
I think every one of us knew how important it was. We knew that so much would depend on the result of that match. We might have gone there and said we'd been satisfied with a point, which would have done us in many, many ways. But the very fact that we didn't accept a point and wanted the victory made all the difference. Had we not had that victory and had Rangers won, then it would have thrown the whole thing into the melting pot again.
Celtic rolled on with only one hiccup. They lost a 31-match unbeaten run to Hearts at Tynecastle last weekend. There was something human about that defeat, though. It proved they suffered from nerves. It also meant that the title could now be won on April 23rd, exactly the same date they had won the league on their 50th anniversary in 1938. So the party wasn't held in Edinburgh. It was delayed for another 7 days, but it also meant that Paradise could be enjoyed at Paradise. Come as you please, no formal invitations required.
Oh, it's tremendous, great. The big man, Caesar's made it all for us. He's made everything happen, you know.
Unbelievable. I'd never believed it at the start of the season. It was with the signings of what happened at Ibrox. We thought we were going to be struggling to get a team together and that, like, you know. But it's just unbelievable, and we'll have a great day out today.
Important years the club's ever had, and the fact that now we've won the championship, we'll be remembered as the centenary championship team, and now it's from here to the Scottish Cup final, and hopefully make it a double celebration.
That we needed was there all season because of the fact that it was a centenary year, and in the
championship winning scenes from last week.
Perhaps
The past couple of days, there they are. And Celtic never travel alone in Europe, of course. Well, normally European games kick off exactly on the scheduled time. But according to us, our watch was still about a couple of minutes away. Perhaps even more than that. There it is. European game kicking off early by about a couple of minutes. And I may say on an absolutely immaculate pitch. A brilliant stadium altogether. Holds about the same as Pittodrie. Not unlike it in many ways. There's Modder McLeod, and Celtic would like a very early goal. It would kill off the tie. Very good crowd indeed. I'd say something in the region of 16,000. Which is 4 times the average crowd here in Aarhus. Melrose neatly, and it's a very congested part of the field there. Mark Reed. Well, like any crowd in Europe, they don't like the ball knocked back like that to the goalkeeper. Push forward there by Stamp. There's no sense of any real urgency in the way the Danes approach this match, but that's their style. McGarvey. McAdam, there's Reed on the overlap. And McLeod. What's a brilliant shot! Modder McLeod. Not a bad angle to get a shot like that from right behind it. Very controlled shot indeed. Just touched by the keeper, Rasmussen. There's McAdam, is dripping and just way beyond. Ooh, that's a terrible mistake by McAdam. He couldn't break quickly enough. Perhaps a little sign of complacency there. That ought not to creep in. Burns. McAdam. Melrose in the run. And a big number 4 Stamp playing very well, John Stamp. Stamper again. Christensen. Van Bonner, a little bit of... well... might end up with a sore head trying that. Away it goes now to Lundqvist. Aiken. Ball has gone over though. Celtic still playing, of course, with Frank McGarvey and Jim Melrose up.
to it that side. Rose laid off well. Tommy Burns, and that was a bad ball. We really will have to talk to Ziegler. More a hip throw than anything else. And I think there'll be a booking, yeah. Number 6, Tim Ziegler has been booked, and Tommy Burns has got his breath back. Aiken. McGarvey's getting plenty of the ball. Melrose, McGarvey. He just made it a little obvious. Tommy Burns, McGarvey. What a great game he's having. McLeod, yes! 1-0. Oh, you felt it coming. Well, if there are any special hugs, there should be one for that man number 9, Frank McGarvey. Look at the way he's been twisting around. Slippery as a fish. Then that sweeping ball curving in from McLeod. Might have been tempted to really blast it, which he can, but that was done with precision and style. Bachmann. Just a little flutter of anxiety there as McAdam went for that. There's the score. And that, more than anything else, I really think hardly sticking my net out means that Celtic will be in the draw on Friday. Good clutch by Bonner, and away they go. Melrose. I think Tommy Burns feared he might be in an offside position. Now here's McGarvey. Look at the room he's got to do that to. He's given them plenty warning about his abilities. Oh. What a fine match he's had. Well, you can hear the Scottish voices, I would think, in the background. McGarvey again. He's on his own. No, Melrose gets up inside him now. And Mudder McLeod. No. Well, this is the man right in the middle of the picture, Frank McGarvey, who's causing all the damage. Overshadowed by Charlie Nicholas for so long at Parkhead, and now I think revealing that he has the skill and the temperament to be an internationalist. Davy Provan hasn't seen too much of the play. We've now gone halfway through the first half. There really has been a canter for Celtic so far. Olsen. That's Shapers. Shapers, the Dutch player. Danny McGray. Ooh, a little short with that, well taken by McGarvey. Everything going right for him. Now Provan, lying deep. I think if he wanted to, and he gets into the frame of mind, he could take this defence apart, but not that way. That is offside. The Danish build up slow, predictable, easily nullified by either the Celtic midfield or the defence like that. Stay. Garvey. I think this defender against, well, the two defenders mainly, but Bachmann and Christensen going after him, but I think a pair of them will have nightmares about this game. Shapers. Olsen. Christensen. Just underneath us here, Bachmann. Stamper. Dolby seems to take up his sign. Christensen. Oh, Danny McGrain won't mind doing that. I think it probably slightly slipped as he turned. Corner kick. Exactly 25 minutes of the first half gone. Number 7 there, Shapers, came on holiday to Denmark in the summer and stayed, and his friend got him a game with the local club, and he's been here ever since. Bonner. A right hook that time from the Irish goalkeeper, and there is McGarvey. McGrain. Well, I really do think it was the awkwardness of the jump towards the ball by the Aarhus player, and Danny McGrain went for it fairly enough. Free kick though. Shapers. Ziegler on the follow-up. Now McGarvey. Melrose going to the left. There he is. There's McGarvey back in again. This would be a great goal. Oh, yes, it is. Oh, and does he deserve it? Oh, yes. An enthralling, refreshing goal to see, done with pace and drive. And 26 minutes gone. Look at him at the heart of it again. I mean, he's far too fast for them, and too clever and too slippery, and he finished it off with that deft touch. That's class. 2-0. Well, I don't think there was any tension. Well, there's a rather bemused-looking goalkeeper, Rasmussen. I don't think there was any tension amongst the Celtic players at all in this trip, but they can now relax somewhat. It's an awkward score for them at Parkhead, but simply outclassing this side. Skapers, Verbeek, McLeod. This is the man they all fear now. Garvey, Robin. McLeod seemed to get his foot right underneath it. We've seen relatively little of David Provan. Work's been mostly done by Melrose and McGarvey, and very well backed up by the four strong across midfield, but not all that much of David Provan. Meanwhile, Danny McGrain is flat out. There's Melrose. McGarvey. Great ball to Burns. 3 players inside. There's Melrose, and that, I'm afraid, was a rather feeble header. Burns now. Much too predictable, and there goes the half-time whistle. Almost a derisory cheer from the Danish supporters who watched their team being outclassed. I mean, Murdo McLeod gave early intimation of his eagerness to score with that lovely shot, which was beautifully saved by Rasmussen. And then in the 21st minute, a beautiful goal. That pass from McGarvey, and McLeod keeping his head. And then McGarvey, who was, to my mind, Celtic's outstanding player in the first half, getting a goal he deserved. A really superb goal, even though the opposition is not all that strong. McGarvey, Melrose, McGarvey in the little ship shot. And that's the indication of the substitution that's been made by Aarhus. They brought on Tommy Christensen, which means that they now have 3 Christiansens on the park and another one poised to come on in the second half at number 15, Ole Christiansen, which is exactly what any commentator needs doing a game from abroad. So with these 3 Christiansens in the side and 2 goals down, Aarhus are really up against it. Mugabe, who did untold damage to this defence. The man who is off, by the way, is Ziegler, who played reasonably well in the first half. That's Davy Proven. Mugabe. Will he try the chip? He does, and he's just passed. Trying to prod it more than chip it. Poke it right away, and it didn't quite come off for him. You get the feeling that this defence is petrified every time he turns and faces them. Great move by Burns, and there's McLeod. Ball isn't there, though. That is Roy Aitken. 3-0 for Celtic. And the big man coming from the back after that wild miss by Mother McLeod. Rattling it in. Okay, the goalkeeper a little bit unfortunate, the ball coming back off them, but it was a stunning blow again by Celtic. Good understanding this pair have. Melrose and Tommy Burns. Oh, a step too far. Another classic illustration of how a team can be taken apart with good understanding. The 3 of them, the initial 2, the 2 strikers working together, and then a man coming from the deep, as Burns did. Just pushing it a step too far. The bulk of that support will be leaving immediately after the game. A long journey back. Mark Reed, Burns all on his own. There he is. He's onside. There's a collision there between Melrose and Davy Proven. Well, that's a better looking ball. This is Tommy Christiansen. That's a good turn. Can he finish it? He doesn't. Wrong side of the net. The Danes were telling me this player is used sparingly because they feel he doesn't have the physique for the bigger occasions. It can be rather brushed off again, but he is fast and alert, and he's certainly showed it there. Lundqvist, Christiansen. Well, he's made that little bit of difference coming on. That's not a bad ball either. Just past there. Perbeck. And what you can say is the facilities in the stadium are quite outstanding. That itself must be an encouragement for the local population to come along here. Watch, good running again. Proven took his eye off it. He's still... Well, that might be a penalty kick. No. Back as a corner. Swung at it all right. Thought there might have been a contact. Referee pointed to the corner spot, and here we have Davy Proven. In swinger. That may well have been a Danny McGrain shot. Down to Burns. Nice control inside Melrose. McGarvey neatly to the side. Now Mortimer McLeod to Proban. Rain on the overlap. He shows his moment well. It's not a bad ball at all, Melrose. Good running. Oh dear, the game badly needed a movement like that. It was so bogged down. The run by Danny McGrain did it. Got beyond the defence. And look at Melrose. Melrose shaking his head almost in disbelief that he's being brought off. But getting back to that Danny McGrain move, as McClare comes on, it was Danny's timing of his run. Got beyond the defence, and there was the man who's just come off, Melrose, with a slight deflected header. Players never like being taken off in these games. Things are going their way, that is. There's the other substitute, Hansen. And our number 2, Wachmann. Lovely ball through that time. Well read by McAdam. Tom McAdam had his share of injuries at the start of the season. Olsen. Olsen again on the follow-up. And Christensen. Oh. Lacked a bit of drive in that one. I think he took stage fright. Couldn't believe his luck that he was getting that opportunity. Giving Bonner the opportunity to flop down on it. Nice, clean save from that shot. Here's McLeod. Stay, McGarvey. Oh, lovely triangular play. Tommy Burns. That could be in the net. McClare. Well, watch that midfield move by Celtic again. McStay right in the middle of that triangular play, giving Burns the opportunity to throw over that ball that ought to have been put away. That's just over. McAdam. As I said, they've got a very technical attitude to the game. They do. The basic approach is try to be efficient. That's a very sturdy back of the captain, Olsen. There's the header down. Can he get his turn? And put away by the Dutchman, Schaefer. 3-1. Just under 15 minutes, about 14 minutes of the game remaining. And in the past 2 or 3 minutes, have edged away nearer that possibility. And it has come with the Dutchman finishing off a move that was given firstly to Perbeck. He couldn't put it away. And one of the better players, perhaps appropriately, getting that goal. Well, Celtic in the first half in particular did this with such ease that it isn't at all surprising that there's a let-up and a slack in the play. And the shot there by Stab. Well, they're howling at him, but in fact the lad couldn't do any better than that. He was watching the green jerseys advance on him very quickly. That's what knocked him off the balance, that very sight. McClair being barged, and that's the free kick. Up comes McGarvey from Reed. Deep little flick again, that's not a bad ball. Paul McStay tries to go in. Tommy Bunce is a dummy, and Probyn scores. Delightful shot again. That's the 4th goal, and I make it about 9 minutes left. Just as well Celtic came back and put that in smartly, because they were beginning to look a bit casual and slack when they knew they are so superior. Slip back there to Davy Probyn, and sometimes these chances can be ballooned, but he didn't do that. Low, drilling it in, goalkeeper with no chance.
Yes, an eminently satisfactory victory, but
I felt it was a really convincing performance by the players, because after the Parkhead show light, we didn't play that well, but tonight no complaints at all.
That's an unbelievable scoreline when you look back at it now, isn't it?
You
so outclassed them.
But tonight, you mean, actually?
No, they won at Parkhead.
They won at Parkhead, but to be honest with you, I wasn't really that pleased with the performance tonight, but no complaints at all. Really delighted for the players.
I thought Frank McGarvey's individual performance was as good as I've seen from a Celtic player, despite the fact that the opposition at times was a bit indifferent.
Yeah, he had an exceptional performance, and it says a lot from him, considering he just got the stitches out yesterday, and his goal, you know, reflected just how good a performance he had.
Were you worried at all about him playing?
At the weekend, yes, but as soon as we came here, I knew he'd be fit, and he wanted to play also.
Were you not surprised by the fact that they didn't raise their game in any way? I mean, they went 2 goals down, 2 excellent goals that were scored, and yet they couldn't come back at you with any degree of ferocity.
No, really, because I come over on Sunday and watched them, and they played basically the same way. It was just a case of making sure we didn't get conned into their style of play, and the plan went to a T tonight.
Any doubts about the injuries, for example? I think you're a wee bit worried about Melrose.
Well, Melrose got
2 weken terug in Glasgow, waar Johan Cruijff schitterde en waar Ajax een voordelige uitgangsstelling bereikte. 2-2 tegen de Schotse kampioen, met alle mogelijkheden voor een plaats in de tweede ronde van het Europa Cup toernooi voor landskampioenen. Ajax met deze Johan Cruijff in de ploeg heeft dan genoeg aan 0-0, 1-1 of winst. Bij 2-2 wordt het verlengen en bij alle andere standen dan is Celtic over. Ajax kent geen problemen met de opstelling. U ziet de bekende namen, Schrijvers, Van Veen, Ophof, die in de mandekking zal spelen, evenals Peter Boeve en Jan Mulby. Zij zullen de 3 Schotse spitsen moeten uitschakelen. Søren Lerby, de captain, Jesper Olsen, Gerald Vanenburg, Johan Cruijff met een bandage om zijn knie. Willem Kieft 2 weken geleden er niet bij, nu wel, en Dick Schoenhaker. U ziet dat, Cruijff heeft een bandage om zijn rechterknie. Het is een kwestie van zekerheid. Hij zelf zegt dat hij geen last meer heeft van een blessure. Richting Kieft, deze doeltrap van Piet Schrijvers. Kieft raakt hem niet, Olsen wel. En die wordt bovendien smerig geraakt door Roy Aitken. Blessure voor Jesper Olsen. Aitken die tikte Olsen aan, die probeerde op snelheid hem te passeren. Cruijff regelt de zaak. Tikje op Mulby. Laag schot. Goede reactie Bonner. Goede beweging van Lerby, waardoor hij plotseling kan kiezen waar hij de bal naartoe wil spelen, naar Willem Kieft. Lerby. Knappe opening op Peter Boeve. Die houdt hem binnen, zet ineens voor. Wie is daar om in te koppen? Alleen Reed om de bal naast het doel te koppen, terwijl Vanenburg in zijn rug staat. Het is de tweede hoekschop van Ajax. Kort, Vanenburg op Olsen. Vandenberg loopt zichzelf voorbij. Nee, het was Olsen. Doeltrap dus. Olsen. Laat de bal iets te ver van zijn schoen springen, waardoor McAdam kan opruimen. Lerby's schot wordt geblokkeerd door McStay. Op karakter vindt hij dan toch nog kruid. Buitenkant rechts, net over Schoenaker heen. Weggekopt Reed. Vandenberg. En dan is het Celtic wat er even uit is. Proven. Ajax komt opnieuw. De omsingeling lijkt begonnen. Kruid. Prachtige beweging op Boeven. Corner voor Dick Schoenaker. Olsen, terwijl Anjolien al gefloten heeft. Schoenaker in de kluts met McLeod. Lerby. Vandenberg. Lerby. Ajax komt op toeren. De trein begint te sporen. McRae. Anjolien loopt Lerby in de weg. En zo'n botsing is niet lekker. McCarthy. Prachtige balbehandeling ook van die Frank McCarthy. Cruijff doet er ook een schepje bovenop. Sinclair heeft dat doorzien. Mulby dan. En Lerby. Leo van Veen. Defensief is Ajax uit de problemen. Althans op dit moment. Vandenberg. Mulby. Cruijff. Het is de bedoeling dat Sinclair hem moet schaduwen. De schaar van Cruijff. McRae gaf rugdekking. Sinclair dus in een verdedigende rol op Johan Cruijff. Maar die zwerft over het hele veld. En dan is mandekking verschrikkelijk moeilijk. Mulby. Kijk zeg, 19 jaar, Jan Mulby. Vorig seizoen nog een amateurtje in Denemarken. Vanavond in een bomvol Olympisch stadion. Olsen. Vandenberg sprint door. Paas gaat naar Schoenaker. Kieft is daar niet, McRae wel. Mulby op Leo van Veen. Van Veen probeerde een lange paas. Alleen Mark Reed is daar. En hij hoort bij Celtic. McLeod, bij afwezigheid van Burns moet hij het spel maken op het middenveld. Kijk eens weer hoe makkelijk Nicolas die bal aanneemt. En dan die korte draai. Maar Ophof wist dat natuurlijk ook. Boeven. Van Veen. Ophof. Vandenberg op rechts zou kunnen. Dit kan ook op Schoenaker. Nu dan Vandenberg. En dan gaat Cruijff er zich mee bemoeien. Sinclair wacht en kijkt wat doet Cruijff en geeft deze lift. McAdam zijn pantoffel eronder. Mulby. McRae die Olsen kort dekt en dan zijn er mogelijkheden voor Proven. Lerby heeft de dekking overgenomen van Boeven. Mulby op zijn borst, er zit risico in. Schrijvers voorkomt een doelpunt van Celtic. Lerby. Gaat alleen. Weet Kieft voorin, daar is Kieft, daar is de reactie van Bonner. En Reed voor Vandenberg. Olsen dan. Olsen vecht terug. 3 schotten is te veel. Proven. Prima fase van de wedstrijd. Eerst een aanval van Celtic. Bijna een doelpunt. En dan Ajax. Boeven. Ja, zo'n paas moet je gewoon met de binnenkant geven en niet met de buitenkant van de schoen als je dat niet kunt. Half uur gespeeld bij deze ingooi van Johan Cruijff. Die weer druk gebaart. De Mos, de trainer van Ajax, heeft toch gelijk gehad in zijn waarschuwing. Onderschat dit Celtic niet. We zijn er nog lang niet naar de 2-2. Dat is duidelijk, na het eerste half uur. McRae die Olsen met het gras in aanraking bracht. Hij is sportief, Danny McRae. Een tikje af en toe. Cruijff. Kijk, Sinclair is naar de bal zien. Lerby. Nog eens voor Lerby. Boeven, dat is goed. Weggewerkt door McAdam ten koste van een hoekschop. Hoekschop Johan Cruijff op Hof. En dan is het heel gevaarlijk, een gestrekt been en het schot van Lerby. In tweede instantie Bonham. Cruijff. McStay. Goeie opening op Sinclair, de man van Johan Cruijff. Die niet door Cruijff wordt verdedigd, dus moet Schoenaker dat doen. Van Veen trouwens ook. Nicholas. Wacht met het schot. McGarvey, Nicholas. Schitterende bewegingen van Charlie Nicholas. En een schitterend doelpunt ook. Langdurige aanval van Celtic. McGarvey, Charlie Nicholas. Kijk eens hoe handig die bewegingen. Schrijvers moest ver uit zijn doel komen. Nicholas zag het. Celtic leidt met 0-1. Van Veen. Schoenaker. Vanenburg. Lerby. Mulby komt op. Hij heeft een enorm gat voor zich. Laat het initiatief aan Lerby. Olsen geen buitenspel, alhoewel op het randje. Voorzet is goed, maar Bonner is er ook. Ophof wint dit keer het kopduel van Nicholas. Proven. Oorspronkelijk als derde spits, nu vierde middenvelder. Basis van Boeven. McAdam. McStay, Lerby en Vanenburg. Van Veen is de derde Ajaxiet. Dan aan Mulby. Ophof. Olsen. Cruijff nu met een schitterende beweging langs Sinclair. Paast ook goed op Olsen. In paniek weggewerkt door Tom McAdam. Die had de bal natuurlijk gewoon aan Bonham moeten laten. Ze zijn zo bang als het maar kan voor deze Jesper Olsen, de Celtic-spelers. De ster van het veld 2 weken terug. Cruijff. Van Veen ineens. Schitterend schot, Leo van Veen. Johan Cruijff, schitterende actie op de linkerkant. Ziet dan uit de verte dat Leo van Veen opkomt. Buitenkant rechts ineens. Ja, daar moet je geluk bij hebben bij zo'n schot. Ongewijzigd beginnen Ajax en Celtic aan de tweede helft. Een tweede helft waarin Ajax als Celtic tenminste niet meer scoort. Aan 1 doelpunt genoeg heeft om de volgende ronde te halen. Maar voorlopig is het nog niet zo ver. Ajax zal nu moeten stormen. En dat geeft Celtic de gelegenheid te counteren. En daarin zijn ze levensgevaarlijk, die schotten. Paas van Van Veen op Lerby. Boeven. Het tempo gaat direct omhoog, dat is duidelijk. McGrain die Olsen goed afschermt. Veel beter dan dat hij dat 2 weken geleden deed. Vrije trap voor Ajax. Lerby op Olsen. McGrain meteen weer bovenop de hakken van Olsen. Dit keer laat Angelina toe. En nu zo'n gevaarlijke break. 3 schotten tegen 2 Ajax-verdedigers. Nicholas krijgt de paas van McStay. En dan is er gelukkig de voet van Boeven. En dan ook nog die riskante terugspeelbal op Schrijvers. Maar Ajax is uit de zorgen. Althans voor dit moment. Schoenaker. Vanenburg. Van Veen schuift in en zal dat de tweede helft waarschijnlijk veelvuldig doen. Waardoor er achterin van die gevaarlijke 1-tegen-1 situaties ontstaan. Deze bal is uit geweest. McGarvey. Proven. Tweemaal voorbij, Davy Proven. En dan is dat gelukkig Lerby. Bovendien was de paas van Proven, de eindpaas, niet zo erg zuiver. Kieft vertrekt op die lange bal van Mulby. Strafschopgebied in. Kieft gaat naar buiten. Mulby is meegekomen. Wordt van achteraan getikt, laat zich vallen. Jolien heeft gefloten. Kende taferelen bij zo'n vrije trap. De muur die op afstand moet. Overleg bij Ajax. Het is Cruijff zelf. Met een schitterende bal op de paal. Cruijff zelf met die vrije trap. Een schitterende boog om de verdediging heen via Bonner op de paal. Het is een hoekschop en die hoekschop wordt veroorzaakt door Aitken. Lerby. Cruijff. Boeven. Durft het niet zelf Boeven, daarom het probleem verleggen naar Ophof. Vanenburg. Mulby. Voor McStay. Druk bevolkt het strafschopgebied. Cruijff zoekt het uit. Richting Lerby. Het is Mulby die kopt. Voorlangs. Lerby. Van Veen. Moet een overtreding begaan tegen Sinclair. En heeft geluk dat er niet wordt gefloten. Foutieve beslissing van Anjolien. Voordeel voor Ajax. Vanenburg. Kieft kan koppen en doet dat goed. Via het tipje van de vinger van Fred Bonner. En Kieft is boos. Hoekschop. Vanenburg met die voorzet. Overtreding daar tegen Søren Lerby. Anjolien is een heel precies baasje. Mulby met de vrije trap in de muur. Schoenaker loopt tegen Bonner op. Het is een vrije trap voor de doelman van Celtic. Ophof. Olsen. In de voeten van McLeod. Olsen. Op het lichaam van Aitken. Hoekschop. Hoekschop Olsen kiest bij de eerste paal. Bonner, die uitstekend keept tot nu toe. Charlie Nicholas. Vanenburg, bal is uit. Ophof voor Charlie Nicholas. Achterin zit het goed bij Ajax. Nu nog het middenveld en vooral voorin. Ophof, Cruijff. Ophof, zo'n simpele voetbeweging van Cruijff. De voortzetting van Ophof, ineens door Schoenaker. Prima poging van Dick Schoenaker. Cruijff heeft Ophof aangespeeld. Die kijkt en ziet Schoenaker die ineens uithaalt. Ophof. Verliest de bal aan McGarvey. Die ploeterend overeind blijft en dan toch ten onder gaat. Van Veen. Boeven, Lerby. Ruimte vooral aan die kant voor Søren Lerby. Olsen. McGrain is gretig. Olsen is in de baas. Lerby, Van Veen in het strafschopgebied. Aitken en Leo van Veen, twee centrumverdedigers. Olsen hielp, maar niet voldoende. Een kaart voor Danny McGrain. aanvoerder van Celtic. 34 jaar is hij. Cruijff vergist zich, op de grensrechter vergist zich. Bal is voor McGarvey. Proven. McStay, mogelijkheden voor Celtic. Lerby verdedigt op kracht. Een vuurpijl van Ophof. Het is een hoekschop. Davy Proven met de hoekschop. Schrijvers. Paniek voor Van Veen. En dan gaat de bal naast. Maar het is wel weer een hoekschop natuurlijk. Cruijff in zijn beste Italiaans tegen Anjolien. Cruijff verdedigt de eerste paal. Zo is het afgesproken op de hoekschop van Davy Proven. Schrijvers nu dan maar met een vuist. Dat is zekerder. Olsen, Lerby, McStay. McGarvey. Nicholas staat voorin. Nicholas staat ook buitenspel. Voordeelregel omdat Ajax in balbezit bleef. Olsen maait over de bal heen. Van Veen met gestrekt been. De wedstrijd wordt grimmiger. Klein half uur nog. Het wachten is op dat ene doelpunt van Ajax. Mulby. Kieft. Valenburg niet, McGrain wel. Naar wie? Naar Cruijff. Heel knap die beweging met de borst. Vanenburg. Kieft. Kaats met Olsen. Kaats met Vanenburg. Prachtige bewegingen. Maar toch is het Aitken die uitverdedigt. En dan weer dat duel. McGarvey en Boeven. En weer wint Boeven. Prima gedaan. Peter Boeven. Snelle spelervatting. Leo van Veen. Tempo moet nog hoger. Ajax weet dat. Lerby, omdat Cruijff zich goed aanbood. En de Celtic-spelers zich verkeken op Lerby. Van Veen nu. Steeds nadrukkelijker aan het front, Leo van Veen. Maar het wordt ook steeds voller daar in de trechter van de defensie van Celtic. Mulby is zo'n krachtmens. Schoenaker, Vanenburg. Bonner. Niet. Doelpunt. Het is een lange aanval van Ajax, ingeleid door Leo van Veen. Die draait en zoekt. Kijk eens, hij weet eigenlijk niet precies waar naartoe. Scheidsrechter staat in de weg. Mulby, Schoenaker en daar is Vanenburg. Buitenkant rechts. Kieft loopt in de weg. Bonner tast mis via de binnenkant van de paal. Het is 1-1. Op 15, dat is George McCluskey. Hij is eigenlijk de topscorer van Celtic. Hij komt het veld in. McCluskey is de laatste tijd een beetje uit vorm. En Davy Proven gaat eruit. Schrijvers heeft even tijd, want Ajax moet de zaak achterin reorganiseren. 3 spitsen nu bij Celtic. Wie tegen wie? Lerby gaat waarschijnlijk op McCluskey spelen. Schoenaker, geen buitenspel. Prachtige paas op. Goede reactie ook van Pat Bonner. Veel aanvallen vertrekken van zijn voet. McCluskey. Ook weer dat typische aannemen met de rug naar de tegenstander en dan wegdraaien. Olsen en Cruijff. McStay. McAdam. En daar valt een Celtic-speler. En Jolien fluit niet. Olsen met mogelijkheden voor Ajax. Cruijff. Meteen die versnelling. Vanenburg. Olsen tikt naar Cruijff, die wacht geen moment, stuurt de bal meteen naar Vanenburg, buitenkant rechts, een halve meter. Die lange roodharige man, dat is Davy Moyes, 19 jaar, centrumverdediger. Hij was in de eerste wedstrijd in Celtic van de partij. Hij komt erin, McStay gaat eruit. Ophof heeft de gele kaart gekregen van aan Jolien. Omdat hij, terwijl de bal nog niet in het spel was, aan het bakkeleien was met Charlie Nicholas. McCluskey. Overtreding van Søren Lerby. McLeod. Moyes is meegekomen naar voren. Dat is dus de bedoeling van Billy McNeil. Die Davy Moyes, die meer dan 1,90 meter is, moet voor het gevaar gaan zorgen in de laatste 10 minuten van deze wedstrijd. Kieft. Mulby zo sterk als een beer. Dan achterin, dan op rechts, nu op links. Schoenaker en Cruijff. Bal in de ploeg houden. Lerby, geen risico's nemen. Vertragen op tijd en dan weer versnellen. Mulby. Olsen. Tegenstander opzoeken en uitspelen. Vanenburg in het strafschopgebied. Olsen, het lijkt één beweging te veel, het is het ook. De centrumverdediger die nu herhaaldelijk oprukt. Schoenaker zet hem de voet dwars, maar McAdam gaat door. 2 man voorbij. McCarthy kan koppen op de lat.